Welcome to Papua New Guinea.
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 Welcome to Papua New Guinea. Welcome to Papua New Guinea.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Papua New Guinea.
Lying just to the south of the equator and close to the north of Australia is the independent country of Papua New Guinea. Made up of the eastern half of the second largest island in the world, it is the last in a string of islands spilling down from Southeast Asia into the Pacific.
Welcome to Papua New Guinea.
After the Second World War, which saw the Japanese invasion and their repulse from Papua by Australian, American, and local infantry battalions, the United Nations formed these colonies into mandated territories to be administered by Australia. In 1975, they joined together as the independent state of Papua New Guinea, a member of the UN and of the British Commonwealth, and with a freely elected democratic government. Here, in a hot and humid tropical climate with only 2 seasons, wet or dry, you can find some of the most diverse and untouched lands and cultures on Earth. Massive mountain ranges up to 4,000 meters, dense tropical rainforests growing on the hot and humid lower slopes and down to the coast. Massive steamy swamps where wide, slow-moving rivers spread out in deltas to meet the sea. Fertile coastal plains fringed with coconuts and beautiful sandy beaches. And all surrounded by oceans crowded with coral and a fantastic variety of marine life. Here you will also find about 6 million Melanesian people of varied appearance, all with their own separate cultural traditions and speaking more than 800 different languages. 85% of Papua New Guineans live simple lives, as their ancestors have done for centuries, being subsistence farmers or fishermen in small rural villages based on a traditional, non-monetary barter economy that existed long before colonization began. While the rearing of pigs, mainly for eating at celebratory feasts, is seen as an important form of wealth. Coexisting with this traditional economy, however, is a Western economic system based on exports from huge gold and copper mines, recent finds of oil, and plans for a huge liquefied natural gas project, and commercial plantations of coffee, tea, and palm oil. There is also some tourism, although this remains low-key, expensive, and based on specialist interests. This aspect is limited because the country's geography makes travel difficult. There are very few roads suitable for vehicles due to mountains, rivers, and unstable terrain, as well as earthquakes and volcanic eruptions in those parts of the country on the Pacific Ring of Fire. The lack of a large wage-based economy has important consequences. It means that the tax base for funding government services is very small, and that delivering basic education, health, and other services such as policing is, in any case, physically very difficult. It has led to some of the highest rates of illiteracy and infant and maternal mortality in the Pacific region, and also to problems of lawlessness and highway robbery with the arrival of illegal arms, and an inability to deal with activities such as unlicensed logging. This has also led to urban problems associated with loss of traditional culture, the growth of squatter settlements, unemployment, and crime, particularly in a country where 1/3 of the people are under the age of 16. Family breakdown and domestic violence are common. The rise of HIV/AIDS is another threat to well-being, as is tuberculosis and most recently, cholera. All this is not helped by a high level of perceived corruption in the government sector and by a lack of equality for women in society as a whole. It also means that most journeys are undertaken either by foot or by dinghy, or by air using the network of small airports serving the towns, and grass airstrips serving the remoter rural areas. In the last few years, however, communications have been revolutionized by the introduction of cheap pay-as-you-go mobile phones, which are becoming common throughout the country, allowing people a level of contact previously impossible. Meanwhile, there is a rising middle class on good incomes who have settled into suburban life, who are able to purchase private education and healthcare. If PNG's security, infrastructure and corruption problems can be tackled, the country has great potential, not least in its rich natural environment and its ever-optimistic and welcoming people. Papua New Guinea's constitution states that it is a Christian country. Most Papua New Guineans take their Christian faith very seriously. Only the Asian shops will be open on major Christian festivals. And there are many large and public displays of faith on days like Good Friday and Easter Day. This has been the work of missionaries from many countries and denominations since the 1800s, when the territory was divided up between the different churches for evangelization purposes. This means that denomination depends largely on place of origin, although today there are hundreds of other different evangelical and Pentecostal churches. PNG's Anglicans, therefore, are mainly to be found in the original missionary area around Dagura in Milne Bay province, and from there spread northwards to cover all of Oro province. Those highland areas which the Australian administration gave to the Anglicans to evangelize in the 1950s. Islands like New Britain, where evangelization had already taken place from the Solomon Islands, and of course nowadays also in the towns, where people will have moved to find employment. The Anglican Church not only brings preaching, but also teaching and healing to its people. It is a major provider of education and healthcare. Its central administrative office is located in Lae.
There are big challenges I face working in the national office, trying to get the bishops and the provincial council members to agree in collectively. The church has been relying on donors, on church partners' support for a very long time. It is about time that ACPNG must look towards internal investment where now we can generate income to sustain our programs.
The national office in Lae is the administrative centre for the church. By sea, we can get down overnight to Oro Bay and Popondetta, and we've got the Highlands Highway leading, of course, right up to the Highlands and Mount Hagen. The only way to get to Port Moresby is by air. It is actually quite challenging. Communications do make life very difficult. The very fact that you have got over 600 languages, separate languages that is, in this country, gives you some idea of the difficulty of communication, and there are too few accountants here in PNG.
The Anglican Church also provides health services, particularly in rural, remote areas in PNG. The infrastructures were constructed during the time of missionaries. Now the facilities have worsened. The standard of healthcare across the world has changed. In that regard, we also need to change. The health services got two schools in PNG, St. Margaret's School in Popondetta and St. Barnabas School in Alatau. Apart from the infrastructure development, we also need manpower.
For the church in Papua New Guinea, which runs the health systems as well, we bring services right down to the rural area, right down to the villages and to the communities. We need communities to understand that what we provide is not money generating service. They need to support the health service. That is a challenge.
There is lack of testing facilities in the rural communities where the church operates, so that is one of our major setbacks.
The aim of Anglican Stoppades is at least to provide comprehensive care. We have about 7 different programs running concurrently, and those programs fall under 2 major components, which are counseling and care, education, prevention, awareness, and the other branches do have programs running under the 2 major components, but not as big as Port Moresby.
9, 1 times 9 is 9, so what must we do on this side?
The education system in
Papua New Guinea is very unique. The Anglican Church is a partner to the national education system. Churches provide about 50 to 60% of the education from the elementary to the secondary.
Matters is a school that's operated in partnership by the government and the church, Anglican Church.
It's very challenging, especially due to the geographical difficulties that we have in Papua New Guinea and also the diverse cultures. The other challenge is recruiting teachers to teach in the most rural areas.
Newton College is basically the only institution in the Anglican Church of Papua New Guinea that trains clergy and their wives for the country. It has 20 male students and 16 of them are married. We have a 4-year program. The first year is introductory year, and then we have a 3-year diploma in theology. The greatest challenge foremost is not having enough staff. Now, there are 3 of us here. I very much want to see this place run by nationals who are trained to lecture here, especially in the departments of theology, biblical studies, and pastoral studies. We have a very good library, but we also have problems in ordering books, especially those books that are current.
We're now collaborating with the other churches under the Church Partnership Program.
The Church Partnership Program is a program that involves the 7 mainline churches in Papua New Guinea. It's largely funded by the Australian Government Development Program, OZAID. For the Anglican Church, we currently are rolling out 4 programs: good governance, adult literacy, HIV and AIDS, and community development, which is water sanitation and connecting the rural and the remote areas in Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea was originally a single diocese within the Australian province of Queensland, but in 1977 it became a separate province with 5 dioceses. The Diocese of Dugura, currently under Bishop Clyde Igara, the Diocese of Popondota, under Bishop Joe Kapapa, the Diocese of New Guinea Islands, under Bishop Alan Meagy, the Diocese of Ipoh-Rongo, under Bishop Nathan Ingen, and the Diocese of Port Moresby, under Bishop Peter Ramsden. The Diocese of Dugura covers the original missionary area. Bishop Clyde is based at the historic mission station on the northern coast.
Dugura is unique because this is where the first missionaries or the gospel landed. If you look at the background, you see the landing place of the first missionaries, Albert Maclaren and Copland, and then later moved up to this plateau where they had their head mission station established.
Albert Maclaren came to Australia, and then from there he picked Copland King to accompany him to this country. They came specially and purposely to proclaim the word of God. The people from Wamira, they came out to attack them. And from there I think our Almighty protected them from killing them. If they happen to kill them, I don't think that the gospel will spread. Once when you kill the person, you also kill the messages as well.
When the pioneer missionaries set up their first chapel here on this plateau, they used the Modawa tree or rosewood tree as their posts. Now, one of these posts has grown up to be a tree today.
That was the first corner post of the first chapel.
It symbolizes the church's growth here in this diocese, and I believe the whole church in Papua New Guinea, because the root of it is the diocese of Dugura, and the branches where gospel spread is the other dioceses like Port Moresby, Ipoh-Rongo, New Guinea Islands, and Popondetta. Because it is the beginning of the church, you will see that the establishments are pretty old, and it's a big struggle for us at this time when we are trying to restore the infrastructure and the buildings and everything in this place. So it's a big challenge. Our local parliamentarian has given us a boat, and he says, Anglican Church, operate the boat, make money for the church. At the same time, you serve our people from Alotau to Bayawa. Even we can extend our services to Wanigela and maybe one day to Orobe and to Ley. And in this way, we service the people and make money for the church.
When the Anglican Church came, it came with 3 main services: preaching, healing, and teaching. And education is one of those services that we highly value.
Attention.
My school here is a very old school. It was established by the Church of England. For one reason, they wanted to teach the local Weda people to spread the good news.
It is important that agriculture is taught in the school because at the end, not most of them will make it through high school or further education. So whatever we teach them here, they can go back home and then continue and practice back in their own homes.
Water is one of our biggest problems. We have problems with, at the moment, with staff houses, dormitories, and do have problems with school fees like any other school in the country.
Besides the health services, the church proceeded to establish a school called St. Barnabas School of Nursing.
Getting some of our programs up to places like Agaun, those stations are located at the rural areas. We walk about 3 to 4 days to reach the place.
The Diocese of Popondota takes in all of Oro province. It is looked after by Bishop Joe, who lives in the main town of Popondetta.
This diocese is very unique because the church in PNG regards this diocese as the heartland. It's an Anglican-dominated province. Most of the national or provincial institutions are based here.
In this diocese, the church is always growing. In a year, I confirm 2,000 candidates, and I think the record numbers I've confirmed in one sitting was 376. 80% are young people, teenagers.
During the Second World War, the Popondota Diocese or Oro Province was the scene of a lot of battles, the Japanese and the Americans and the Australians, and this actually was the key battlefield area. So the Melanesian Brothers headquarters is based here, and they have a lot of brothers, close to 50 or 60, including the novices. They are sent to the places throughout the Anglican Church in PNG. They do ministry in the local villages around here in Popondetta, and we are fortunate to have them in this diocese.
In the convent, 3 professed sisters and 7 novices. We get up at 5 o'clock and we come into the chapel for our meditation.
Every day we have lots of young girls and ladies coming here with their problems, and those who have run away from their husbands and their relations at home, and they are staying here with us. The problem that we have here in this community is accommodation. It's all run down, including the chapel, and it can fall at any time.
The 3 ways that we live: prayer life, work and study, and the brothers here focus mainly on prayer. When the parish priest invites us, we go out for missions or do retreats. And looking at the buildings, it's all running down and need the buildings to be renovated. Under my leadership, I'm trying to help the brothers to see within ourselves the things that we already have. Like we have a very fertile land here.
In 2007, we had a very bad cyclone disaster here. There was widespread destruction. Places, homes, schools and infrastructure. So it has been a great difficulty.
On the 14th of November 2007, Cyclone Guba hit in the diocese of Popondetta, and Eroro was one of the parish destroyed.
At 6 o'clock, the water flooded from the mountains, knocking the houses, buildings, everything
You can see the cliff that has been created by the flood.
Because we have a good church network right throughout the province, we've tried our best to help everybody.
To get the preaching workshop.
The church is becoming more a missionary church.
I've been appointed to be coordinator to trainings for the clergymen, lay preachers and evangelists of the Diocese of Papua New Guinea. And this place has been shut down for the past 17 years. And I said, so Lord, you sent me here to get this bush cleared to this place for this original purpose. I tried to put good use by preaching the word and teaching, helping others to read the gospel. It's about 1,000 people involved, but I just take them in hundreds, 100 at a time.
The Mothers Union, it's a fast-growing organization. The members are so interested. They're looking forward to new things. And some of the activities, like the hospital visits, visiting the sick and old.
Children church today, they have a role to play. So in the children's ministry, we try to encourage children to fully participate in the church activities.
Kids love dancing and singing songs.
I love children's ministry because this is where I learn all about God and my faith in Jesus, which I share to my family and friends. I would like to ask if they could give us some pen friends out in our sister church overseas.
It was one of the suggestions that Bishop thought if we could start the Cathedral Youth again, because that's the central place of all the young people, especially in town.
The Diocese of New Guinea Islands has its headquarters at Kimby and is looked after by Islander Bishop Allen.
New Guinea Islands Diocese is not a very big diocese. We have 13 parishes and 40 to 50 local chapel churches. But it's all scattered. The parishes are all scattered all over. It's an island diocese. You need a lot of traveling by sea because we are coastal people. We travel on canoes, we travel on boats and ships and all that to reach other islands. We do things differently from highlands and from the Papuan diocese.
The head office is here in Kimbe, but most of the parishes is along South Coast area, which is that is where most of our Anglican parishes are.
We are in one building, Mothers Union, youth, education, age, and that's the spirit I want. We work together as a team. One of the challenges that we face here is how to get around. We need to hire dinghies. We have only one Dyson dinghy that's based on the South Coast. And we find it difficult to fund our programs. That's one of the reasons that we thought we would come up with a self-sustaining income-generating project that can help us in the long run. We have 10 acres of oil palm project. We believe that by 5 years' time, 10 years' time, the struggles that we face today would be reduced.
The whole one is Kawi oil palm project, which is looked after by 4 boats up there, and the new one is the new oil palm project, which is we have been assisted by IBM. IBM were generous to assist us in the new oil palm block.
This is block 1. So this is 4 acres. And our dream for this diocese is on this project.
Why they are doing that? They are pruning the branches off so that the fruit is easy to take the buds out of the tree. So that's why it's there. So you can move in close and okay, you come.
Name Banamas. Me working pruning. Me rausing all pangal so that buds by stop clear na time long. Program block company block karigam ba mi blockatim. Me easy lo mi bla. So name block isla something one. Hook. Hook knife. Hook knife.
The fruit is the one that we want. The fruit is where the oil is. We will only get the ripe ones. When they turn yellow, there will be a fruit truck coming to pick up the fruits. The DPI people to come in. That's it. I think we have seen the problem and we want to answer the problem. In the long run, we have to answer it ourselves. And then continue to fund our programs.
By the time we start to harvest and repair all our loans with the national office, we should be okay by 5 or 6 years' time.
The oil has many uses. They can be used for oil for cooking, soap, also body oil. Yeah, that's how we start the kind of jungle. Mi plan minore network.
Ipo-Rongo Diocese includes some of the country's newest Anglicans in remote mountainous areas, which Bishop Nathan visits from his base at Mount Hagen. An assistant bishop, Dennis Rurika, lives at Goroka.
Our diocese is very interesting because Ipo-Rongo is very remote, and our ministries are situated in the remote areas of Papua New Guinea. The Anglican Church established 8 airstrips in Simba and Jimmy, and we deliver these services through MAF. Without MAF, we can't deliver our services like health, education. There is no road links to a part of Simba and Ayom. Good afternoon, Deputy Headmaster, go ahead. I'm just ringing to find out what's the situation like at Ayom, over. And all my parishes are situated at remote locations. So MAF is our lifeline. Without MAF, we can't exist.
Stand clear.
430 and 1021, Hotel Charlie Charlie. 1975.
Simba is one of the remote places in our diocese. We have no road links to Mount Hagen or Ida Meding. We are going up to a church, and we have 2 schools. One is Simba Vocational School, and the other one is Simba Primary School. And then we also have the literacy school that is taking place. So now they can read and write. So that's why we're bringing the Bible as well as our token from the church. Ayom is one of our schools in the diocese. There's only Anglican high school that serves students from all the diocese.
It's an agency school, and students from down the Ramu River, Simbai, and from Western Islands as well too, the Jimmy students. Here we have a motto that says we work together, we play together, and we pray together, and that's how we go here.
And we train catechists, and catechists they are our backbone of our parishes. They serve within our remote parishes, they are lay preachers.
Carino College is the only Catholic college that is run by the Anglican Church in Papua New Guinea. Also here at Sendiap, we have a sub-health center that maintains the medical services here on the station.
When the first missionaries arrived here, they built this as the mission station. And this house was built in 1951. We see the building is falling apart. And we have the school here. That's one of the Anglican agency school we run in Jimmy. Koinambi is one of our health center, which serves all the communities around here. And also the borders from Simba, they also come down here for some medical care.
I want to see a link between the rural parishes and the diocese, especially when the people in rural areas ask for certain things to be done. We need to really attend to them. We have to be in town to have access to all the communications with the outside world.
Because most of our parishes are remote and no road links. So it's very important for me to visit all my parishes by flying or by walking over the mountain ranges to do pastoral care so that people feel that I'm visiting and encouraging them in their struggles, their church planning and so forth. It's my desire that I must bring the evangelism to the doorsteps of our parishes.
The evangelism, that is the whole purpose and the work of the church.
The Diocese of Port Moresby covers all of the southern part of Papua New Guinea, although most of its Anglicans are to be found in the capital city, where they are looked after by Bishop Peter.
Port Moresby is a rapidly growing city. In fact, no one really knows how many people live here because of the large numbers of people in the settlements around the edge of the city. And so we have all sorts of urban problems. Few people employed, great pressure on housing. There are big problems with HIV/AIDS and TB. Crime is something that everyone worries about, so Port Moresby is a challenging place to live and work. The Diocese of Port Moresby benefits, of course, from having an office within the new Anglicare building. And there the Diocesan Secretary, Amos Miserat, and the Accounts Clerk, Rachel Abijah, and I have our desks. Moresby Diocese has a great chance to be self-supporting quite quickly because of rental income that we get for property in Port Moresby. And in this way we can be helping some of the other dioceses in this province become a giving church rather than just a receiving one. At the centre of the compound, just behind me, is the Chapel of the Good Shepherd, which was completed in February 2009. Father Reginald McKelly is the chaplain, and he lives here on the Banbury compound, but he's also the rector of Morata, which is a big settlement about a mile away from here.
I'm the parish priest of St. Aidan's Morata. It's located in the settlement, run down.
One of the big problems in this society is domestic violence and violence against women. So in Morata, in the parish compound, there is going to be built what's called a Merry Safe House, a safe house for women.
The church has that responsibility to provide the service to the community.
Under my parish, we have St. Lucian's Church at the settlement. Also in the settlement we have Mother Betty, who is a member of the Mothers Union, who takes care of orphanage. Today we have the Diocesan Mothers Union visiting the center for the first time to see for themselves what St. Martin's Parish does. In 2009, the St. Martin's Parish paid school fees for 8 children and provided uniforms and their school materials.
You play come, Lord God, so me and mamas, let me talk thank you, Lord Papa God. Only something inside the community me play make him and Papa God himself. So now you play big line blow me lo. Mothers Union President or diocese you play come now look him how me start gonna talk out. Lord this Lord picking in me play look out him most man.
And this is where I live, and I do my ministry here. And also help Mother Betty. We have 13 orphans, and Betty looks after 10, and I look after 3.
At the back of the international airport, there is an area of Sageri Lowlands parish called Oro Village. The Melanesian brothers have their section headquarters there.
It seems like it must be a very tough place and challenging place for the ministries of the Brotherhood.
And also a small elementary school that's been built. About 100 children attend the school.
This year, the Board of Management approached me and asked me to come in and help establish this school for them. So I came in and started this school for them, a permanent double classroom here.
The thing about Moresby Diocese is almost all the clergy are here in the city. And it also means that the urban parishes can gather together. Just before Pentecost this year, we had a great time at St Mary's Gerahu, where the 7 urban parishes all came together for the diocesan sports. So on Pentecost Day, everyone came here to the Chapel of the Good Shepherd. We had a diocesan mass for Pentecost Day.
On the 11th of June 2010, the Provincial Council of the Anglican Church of PNG elected me to be the next Archbishop and the Primate of the Anglican Church of Papua New Guinea. Currently, when a bishop is elected as the Primate, he also has to be the bishop of his own diocese. But there is a change taking place in which the Primate will not have any responsibility for a diocese but be full-time Primate based in our national office in Ley.
When the Archbishop moves to Ley, it will help support the General Secretary so that both are working collaboratively. We are able to do it together.
Working very closely with other churches, which is one of the gifts that ACPNG brings, I think, to the wider church.
Working together as a church, we can establish a common goal.
The vision of the church we have agreed now is to proclaim the gospel, to continue to teach and preach, but at the same time, in our lives as Christians, to live that gospel, go out and to care and to provide and to nourish and to help the people.
We have a role to be a Melanesian voice within the Anglican Communion.
We will continue to work together as a church.
We have a very good team of bishops.
I feel very encouraging being as a new bishop. They give me their moral support and we share our thoughts together, so that enables us to work as a team.
The great thing about it is that we work so well together as 5 dioceses.
A unified body, the 5 dioceses coming together.
The unity of the church in the Anglican Church of Papua New Guinea.
We share our resources, we grow together.
So that we can continue to support each other in our thinking, in our talking, and what kind of assistance we can give to each other.
The sister dioceses are for the common interest of the people in Papua New Guinea.
We can reach out to our people living in the remote areas.
We are moving from dependency into self-reliance.
We are the young church.
And we all look forward to the ministry of Archbishop Joe Kapapa, as under God he leads us into the future and we continue to follow the way.
Let's make a history for Anglican Church in Papua New Guinea.